Hello everyone. Today, I'm going to share a story about one of the most well-known and influential figures in modern history, Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia. His journey is like something out of a dramatic film, filled with struggle, ambition, and personal growth. But this isn't just the story of a world leader. It's the story of how a boy from very modest beginnings worked his way up to become one of the most powerful men on earth. So sit back, listen closely, and let this story not only improve your English but also inspire you to chase your dreams. Let's begin at the very start of his life. Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin came into the world on October 7, 1952, in a city then known as Leningrad. Today it's called St. Petersburg in Russia. He was the third child in his family, but the only one to survive. His two elder brothers had tragically passed away before he was born. This made him the sole child of his parents, Maria Ivanovna Putina and Vladimir Spiridonovich Putin. The family didn't have much. They lived in a cramped communal apartment, a type of shared housing where several families lived under one roof. There were no individual kitchens or bathrooms. Everyone used the same facilities. If someone wanted to cook or use the bathroom, they had to wait their turn. It was a noisy and crowded environment, but it was normal for many families at the time, especially after the devastation of World War II. The city of Leningrad had been through unimaginable suffering during the war. And even years later, people were still trying to rebuild their lives. Putin's father had been injured during the war, and his mother worked tirelessly to support the family. Though they were strict, his parents cared deeply for him and taught him to work hard and never give up. As a child, Vladimir was small and thin, often overshadowed by other boys his age. Some children tried to pick on him, but he wasn't someone who backed down easily. Determined to protect himself and gain confidence, he started training in judo at the age of 12, and also learned a Russian martial art. He practiced every day, not just to win fights but to build inner strength and control. Eventually, he became highly skilled and earned a black belt, something he still values deeply. Even today, he credits judo with helping him stay focused and calm in difficult situations. Unlike many of his classmates who dreamed of becoming professionals like doctors or engineers, Vladimir had a very unusual ambition. He wanted to be a spy. He was fascinated by the KGB, the Soviet Union's secret intelligence service, which was one of the most powerful organizations in the world at that time. Becoming a KGB agent wasn't easy. It required intelligence, discipline, and education. So, Putin put all his effort into improving his school performance. He even learned the German language, which would later play a key role in his future career. Life at home remained tough. Every day, his mother had to wake up early to prepare meals in the crowded kitchen they shared with other families. Simple food like bread and butter with tea was their routine breakfast. After school, Vladimir often helped his mother with small household tasks. There was no extra money for toys or nice clothes, but that didn't matter to him. He was focused on his dream. After completing high school, he was accepted into Leningrad State University, one of the city's top institutions. He chose to study law, knowing it would increase his chances of joining the KGB. At university, he kept a low profile and focused on his work. Though he wasn't the most outgoing student, his professors noticed his sharp intellect and self-discipline. In 1975, after graduating, Putin achieved what he had worked so hard for. He joined the KGB. It was a massive step for someone who had grown up in poverty. Wearing the KGB uniform was a mark of great honor and responsibility. He began his career as an intelligence officer, working behind the scenes to protect the Soviet Union. His first major posting was in East Germany during the Cold War, a time when global tensions between the Soviet Union and the United States were at their peak. There, he worked quietly, gathering intelligence and learning how to navigate high-pressure environments. He also sharpened his German-speaking skills and handled complex assignments. Though the work was demanding, Putin thrived on the challenge and continued to grow professionally. This period in his life laid the foundation for his future. From a tiny, overcrowded apartment to the secretive world of international intelligence, his early experiences shaped the man he would become. But everything changed in 1989. The Berlin Wall fell, signaling the collapse of communism in Eastern Europe. Soon after, the Soviet Union itself began to unravel. Putin saw that the world he had trained to serve was disappearing. In 1990, he returned to his home city, now called St. Petersburg, and decided to leave the KGB behind. His journey, however, was far from over. In 1991, Vladimir Putin made a life-changing decision. He stepped away from his career in the KGB, feeling it was time to pursue something new, something bigger. At first, his path wasn't glamorous. He took a modest role at Leningrad State University, the very place where he had once studied. There, he assisted one of his former professors with administrative tasks. But not long after, a new opportunity appeared. The mayor of St. Petersburg, Anatoly Sobchak, was searching for someone dependable and capable. Putin fit the profile and was offered a role on his team. This marked the beginning of his journey into the world of politics. Though he wasn't a well-known figure at the time, Putin quickly proved himself. He worked quietly behind the scenes, managing city affairs, overseeing projects, and solving problems with remarkable efficiency. People began to notice his calm, composed nature. Unlike other politicians, he didn't seek the spotlight. He wasn't loud or showy, but when he spoke, people paid attention. His reputation for being efficient and loyal began to grow. Through difficult moments, he remained faithful to Sobchak, and that loyalty made him stand out. People trusted him because they knew he wouldn't abandon his team for personal gain. In 1996, Sobchak lost his position, and Putin's job in the city administration came to an end. Some assumed this was the end of the road for him, but Putin saw it as a new beginning. He moved to Moscow, ready to rebuild his career from the ground up. In the capital, he took on smaller roles within the government. However, his dedication, calm demeanor, and ability to handle complex issues soon drew the attention of high-ranking officials. Eventually, his talents caught the eye of President Boris Yeltsin. At the time, Russia was facing many challenges: economic troubles, widespread corruption, and a disillusioned public. Yeltsin needed someone trustworthy and efficient to help steer the country. Putin seemed like the right person. In 1999, Yeltsin appointed him as Russia's prime minister, placing him in one of the most powerful roles in the government. It was a critical moment. The country was struggling, and people were losing hope. But Putin stepped into the position with determination. He introduced tough measures to fight corruption and improve how the government functioned. Gradually, public confidence began to return. Then, on December 31, 1999, in a surprising turn of events, Yeltsin announced his resignation and named Putin as his successor. Overnight, Putin became the acting president of Russia. Many were shocked by the announcement, as he wasn't yet a familiar name to most citizens. Still, Yeltsin had placed his trust in him. On January 1, 2000, Putin officially took charge. He began working immediately to stabilize the country. His top priorities were reviving the economy, tackling crime, and strengthening Russia's global presence. One of his first major tests was the ongoing conflict in Chechnya, a region pushing for independence. Putin responded with a firm stance, determined to keep the country united. His approach won him strong support from many Russians, who admired his resolve and leadership during a turbulent time. In March 2000, a national election was held, and Putin won by a significant margin, becoming the official president of Russia. It marked the beginning of a new chapter for the nation. Putin, still relatively young and full of energy, was focused on restoring Russia's strength and reputation on the world stage. He rolled out new programs to strengthen the economy, improve public services, and modernize the country's armed forces. As his influence grew, so did his personal wealth. He is known today for having access to luxurious items such as private jets, yachts, and high-end vehicles. He reportedly owns an extremely valuable watch collection. Yet despite this, he rarely discusses his personal life and prefers to keep it away from the public eye. Putin married Lyudmila Shkrebneva in 1983, and the couple had two daughters, Maria and Katerina. However, the family remained out of the spotlight. Putin was determined to shield his children from public attention. In 2013, after many years together, he and Lyudmila publicly announced their divorce, saying they had grown apart. Since then, his romantic life has remained a subject of speculation, though he has never confirmed any new relationship. Throughout his leadership, Putin has faced criticism. Some accuse him of being too authoritarian or of suppressing freedom of expression. Still, he has always remained focused on his goals. He believes that strong leadership often requires making unpopular choices for the good of the country. Putin's primary objective has consistently been to restore Russia's strength and global influence. His long time in power is a testament to his strategic mind, discipline, and relentless work ethic. In the early years of his presidency, Russia was in rough shape. The economy was fragile, many people were jobless, factories were shutting down, and the country's infrastructure was falling apart. Corruption was a serious problem. Putin responded by implementing firm policies. He targeted tax evasion, improved how businesses operated, and worked to attract international investors. Over time, the country began to recover. Russia's vast natural resources, especially oil and gas, became central to its economic revival. Putin used the revenue to rebuild the country's industries and improve infrastructure. He also recognized that a strong nation needed a capable military. Russia's armed forces had been neglected for years. Soldiers lacked equipment, training, and morale. Putin changed that by pouring funds into modernizing the military. He introduced advanced weapons, better training systems, and cutting-edge technology. As a result, Russia once again became a major military power, capable of asserting itself on the global stage. Understanding the importance of media, Putin also moved to ensure that most major news outlets aligned with his administration. This decision was highly debated, but played a significant role in shaping public perception during his rule. Through it all, Putin has remained a complex and powerful figure, admired by some, criticized by others, but always focused on keeping Russia strong and influential in the world. Putin maintained that controlling the media was crucial for keeping the country stable. He believed that too much press freedom could lead to disorder. Whether or not people agreed with this, his approach helped him strengthen his grip on power. At the start of his presidency, Russia was heavily influenced by a group of ultra-rich businessmen known as oligarchs. These individuals had amassed huge fortunes and influence following the collapse of the Soviet Union. Many of them used their wealth to sway politics and bend government decisions in their favor. Putin saw this imbalance as dangerous. He believed that the state should hold the highest authority, not private individuals. He began pushing back against these powerful figures, forcing some to leave Russia and others to give up control of their businesses. Taking on the oligarchs was a significant gamble, as they held enormous influence. But Putin stayed firm, sending a message that in his Russia, the law would reign supreme, and no one would be above it. He also focused on improving Russia's relationships with other countries. Putin traveled widely, holding meetings with global leaders from nations like the US, China, members of the European Union, and those in the Middle East. He had a commanding presence, calm, direct, and confident. His background in the KGB gave him insight into people and situations, making him an exceptional strategist. He knew when to be diplomatic and when to assert authority, earning him both respect and fear on the world stage. By the mid-2000s, Putin had become one of the most influential leaders globally. With power came immense wealth. He was said to own several luxurious properties, including a grand residence by the Black Sea often referred to as Putin's Palace. He was also known for his interest in high-end items, private planes, yachts, and a vast collection of luxury watches valued in the millions. Despite this, he remained tight-lipped about his personal life and rarely mentioned his family in public. Putin crafted a specific image of strength. He was frequently seen engaging in rugged, adventurous activities. Photos of him riding horses bare-chested in Siberia, diving in the ocean to explore wrecks, piloting aircraft, and practicing judo, all contributed to a public image of a leader who was not only politically strong but physically fearless. These images weren't random. They were carefully chosen to portray him as a bold, active figure willing to do whatever it took to protect his nation. One of his key strengths as a leader has been his ability to navigate complex international relationships. He forged strong partnerships with countries like China and India, while firmly resisting pressures from the West. A pivotal moment in his presidency came in 2014, when he made the controversial decision to annex Crimea, a region that had been part of Ukraine. This move surprised many around the world, and led to sanctions from Western countries. Yet within Russia, many citizens supported his actions, seeing them as a defense of national interests. Leading a country for so long has brought many challenges. Putin has often been accused of limiting civil liberties and cracking down on opposition voices. Protests have been met with firm responses, and critics claim that his administration suppresses freedom of expression. Still, Putin believes that his leadership style is necessary to preserve order and protect Russia from instability. He often emphasizes that strong governance requires making difficult and sometimes unpopular decisions. Despite his strict public persona, those who know him personally describe a more gentle side. Putin has a deep affection for animals, especially dogs. Over the years, he's received several canine gifts from other world leaders, and he is often seen spending time with them. He also has a passion for classical music and enjoys playing the piano during his free time. These details offer a glimpse into his more human side, showing that even someone with immense power has personal passions and simple pleasures. Putin's rise from a modest apartment in Leningrad to becoming the leader of Russia is a story of resilience, ambition, and careful strategy. He has faced many obstacles, but always found ways to push through. His ability to read situations, adapt to challenges, and maintain control has made him one of the most significant political figures of this century. As his leadership continued to evolve, he aimed for bigger goals. It wasn't enough for Russia to be stable. He wanted the world to see it as a formidable force. His next phase as president involved not just achieving domestic success, but gaining international respect and influence. These years were filled with ambitious moves, global controversies, and political maneuvers that constantly drew international attention. Putin is often recognized for his long-term thinking. He rarely acts impulsively, instead weighing each decision for its future consequences. One of his key foreign strategies has been to form alliances with countries whose interests align with Russia's. His close partnership with China is a prime example. Together, they've invested in massive infrastructure projects, including trade routes and pipelines, helping Russia reduce its dependence on Western economies. Another critical part of his foreign policy has been strengthening Russia's role in the Middle East. He provided political and military support to leaders in troubled regions like Syria, ensuring their survival in times of crisis. This involvement turned Russia into a powerful voice in the region, allowing Putin to negotiate with Western countries from a stronger position. Modern warfare isn't just about weapons and soldiers, it's about data, technology, and information. Putin understood this shift and led massive efforts to build Russia's cyber capabilities. Under his leadership, Russia became one of the most advanced players in the world of cyber operations. Allegations have surfaced suggesting that Russian cyber experts have interfered in the elections of foreign countries. Though highly controversial and often denied, these claims show the extent of influence Russia can exert in global affairs, without ever stepping onto a battlefield. Among Putin's most praised accomplishments is how he reignited national pride among Russian citizens. After the fall of the Soviet Union, many Russians felt their country had lost its status and dignity. Putin worked hard to change that feeling. He invested in patriotic projects that celebrated Russian heritage and achievements. He restored grand military parades, developed cultural institutions, and introduced policies to protect and promote the Russian language. He frequently reminded citizens that a country disconnected from its past cannot build a meaningful future. When it comes to personal discipline, Putin leads by example. He maintains a strict daily routine and focuses on his health and physical fitness. This personal rigor mirrors the image he tries to project for the nation: strong, focused, and ready for any challenge. Each day he begins with a nutritious breakfast, often consisting of quail eggs, cottage cheese, and fresh juice. This is followed by a swim lasting nearly an hour, and then a workout at the gym. This disciplined start to the day plays a key role in maintaining his physical health and mental clarity. He is also known for driving simple vehicles during state visits, a choice that helps shape his image as a leader who stays grounded and connected to the average citizen. One of his most ambitious initiatives was the creation of the Eurasian Economic Union (EU), an alliance that includes countries like Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Armenia. The purpose of this union is to boost regional trade, strengthen the participating economies, and lessen reliance on Western powers. Through this effort, Russia has not only tightened its grip in Central Asia, but has also expanded its global reach, reinforcing his image as a strategic leader with long-term vision. While advancing modernization in various sectors, he has remained firmly committed to preserving Russian traditions. He often expresses that Russian culture and values should not be reshaped by Western ideas. His administration has taken firm stances on social matters such as religion, family, and education. His public support for the Russian Orthodox Church, which he describes as a cornerstone of the nation's cultural heritage, has won him admiration from conservative circles, though it has also sparked discussions about the boundary between religion and government. His long stay in power reflects his remarkable ability to adapt. Over the years, he has weathered economic turmoil, political unrest, and periods of global isolation. Despite these challenges, he consistently manages to reassert control. One of his greatest strengths lies in his connection with everyday Russians. He holds an annual public Q&A session called Direct Line, where citizens can pose questions directly to him. This event is more than just a political show. It allows him to present himself as both a decision-maker and a listener. As his leadership continues, opinions about him grow increasingly divided. Some view him as the man who rescued Russia from disorder and restored its pride. Others see him as a divisive figure whose bold strategies have not always led to positive outcomes. Regardless of these contrasting views, his story remains one marked by persistence, careful planning, and a clear vision. From his humble beginnings to the highest office in Russia, his journey is nothing short of extraordinary. He believes that leadership is not about clinging to power, but about remaining relevant. This philosophy influences how he governs, always analyzing the changing world and adjusting course when needed. He sees Russia not just as a nation to govern, but as a player in a larger global game. He envisions a world where power is shared among multiple nations rather than dominated by a single force. With this in mind, he has deepened Russia's ties with countries like China, India, and various African states. He often extends support to nations facing Western sanctions, offering trade agreements and military cooperation. He is often compared to a chess master in the realm of politics. His decisions are rarely impulsive. Instead, they are calculated moves based on strategy and timing. A notable example of this was during a major global summit, where, rather than responding defensively to international criticism, he calmly presented counterarguments and facts, shifting the narrative in his favor. His composure under pressure is a trait that sets him apart, and one that many leaders strive to emulate. He once said that emotions have no place in politics, a belief he clearly practices. Aware that his presidency won't last forever, he has invested in laying down the groundwork for Russia's future. He pushes for advancements in science and technology, and encourages young people to pursue careers in innovation and engineering. His administration has introduced reforms to make education more inclusive, especially for students in rural communities. He frequently visits schools and universities, hoping to inspire future generations. In healthcare, efforts have been made to build more hospitals and increase access to medical services, particularly in remote regions. He has consistently emphasized the idea that a nation's greatest asset is its people. By nurturing and investing in them, he believes the country will continue to thrive. Leadership comes with its burdens, and his life stands as proof. He has endured harsh criticism, both from within the country and abroad. His methods and choices are often debated, but he seems unfazed. He once remarked that trying to satisfy everyone only leads to losing oneself. For him, true leadership means standing firm in one's beliefs, even if it invites disapproval. This mindset has carried him through some of his most difficult moments, be it dealing with sanctions, diplomatic conflicts, or opposition at home. What makes him a compelling figure isn't just his role in politics, but the person beyond the headlines. He enjoys adventurous activities like horseback riding, diving, and flying aircraft, interests that reflect his boldness and thirst for new challenges. He is also an avid reader, drawn to topics such as history, military strategy, and political theory. For him, knowledge is not just power, it's a form of armor. As this narrative draws to a close, the lessons from his life become clear. First, resilience is key. Setbacks are inevitable, but strength and adaptability can overcome them. Second, always think before acting. Strategy and patience are essential. Third, remain authentic. True leadership requires holding fast to your values. Fourth, never stop growing, whether in your personal life or professional journey. Continuous improvement is the path to success. His story, from growing up in a small apartment in Leningrad to commanding the global stage, teaches us that greatness is not defined by where you start, but by how determined you are to keep going. As you reflect on this incredible journey, remember that your future is shaped by your actions. With big dreams, hard work, and clear focus, anything is possible.